Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is I Love You Say It Back. It's the podcast. I'm your host, Vic D. Turn me up. Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Happy Thursday. Glad you are tuned into another edition of I Love You Say It Back. It's a podcast once again. I'm your host, Vic D. Going to be taking you through a beautiful journey on this Thursday. First of all, before we get into anything and go any further in this, I want to welcome all first-time listeners. We just wrapped up the content creator event that happened, I guess, on Friday. So I don't know do people consider Friday the weekend? I think Friday after a certain time, it's considered the weekend, right? But technically it's still a work day. I got a Monday through Friday, but I mean, after I don't know. I think it's the weekend kind of, not even after work. It's like after 3 p.m., everybody just kind of mentally shuts down. You're like, yeah, I'm in weekend mode already. And that goes for teachers as well, which they're already in the best time of the year. You know, for a lot of us, it's like, it's the most wonderful time of the year during Christmas. Teachers right now is a pretty darn good time. So we'll get into all that stuff. And again, want to welcome all the new people. If you are joining us and because you heard about us on when we were talking at the creator event, first of all, it was a pleasure meeting. Got a chance to meet a lot of great people. A lot of special creators too. There's a lot of people who, we talked about this. It didn't necessarily have to be, you didn't have to be a creator to be at this event. It was for everybody. But there were a lot of people who went out there and were like, yeah, I do this, I do fitness, I do a food page, I do, whatever kind of content that you're involved in making and doing all that stuff. It was really nice meeting a lot of people, and we'll get into more of that, but just want to welcome you in. And before we continue even further than that, want to invite everybody and remind everybody to like, subscribe on YouTube, on wherever you listen on your podcast. So like Spotify or Apple Music or iHeart, or if you ask Alexa, hey, play I Love You Say It Back, the podcast, just hit that subscribe button. It's going to help us. If you can, like, rate, review, do all that good stuff. It helps the podcast. It helps us push it out to more people. So then hopefully we can continue to grow and have more fun and just simply do more things. Right. So, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'm trying to get better. I know we're like 80 episodes deep, and I'm finally acknowledging, like, hey, remain focused on the camera for like a large majority of the podcast. I was having a conversation there. I was like, yeah, dude, we put up every single episode up on YouTube, and I forget that I have it sometimes. I just use it obviously because we like the clips that come from it, but I forget that the whole thing just goes unedited on there, right? I mean, color edited, but we don't cut really anything out. So if you're watching on YouTube, which we've been getting some good traction on YouTube lately, don't mean to brag, but we've been doing a little bit better. And by a bit better means like we're getting more views than we do have followers. So I think that's always kind of a good thing. So, wow, what a show do we have for you today? I got called handsome, which it sounds like, hey, Vic, what a brag. But it reminded me of something that, like, I think handsome is like friend zone as shit. So like initially it's one of those, like, it's like a little curveball. Initially it's like, ooh, yeah, handsome. And then you think about it, you're like, man, she's just friend zoning me. Yeah, that's not good. It's not a good feeling. So we'll talk about that. And today is, well, I guess we're recording this on a Wednesday, so National Hamburger Day. Got your fun facts here in case you didn't know. Saying thank you in a relationship is more powerful than saying I love you. And of course, we're going to have some thoughts on that with the podcast called I Love You Say It Back. Got your Wednesday wisdom, crazy conversation. And frankly, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you right now, I hate it. I don't like it, but I do have some things to say about it. Got your Skittles is doing something to kind of change up some of the removing certain ingredients, and it's all good and well. So we'll get into all that. But I wanted to start with this because I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, a few weeks ago, I was called handsome. A few weeks ago, I was called handsome, and you're like, and at first I was like, hell yeah, it feels good. It's like, hey, I work out. I've been trying to run a little bit. Handsome is a good feeling, right? And I got a couple thoughts on this because one, ladies, if you want to friend zone somebody or if you want to mess with a guy's head, call him handsome. Not sexy, not gorgeous, not because all that stuff implies like, hey, I'm kind of into you. But I got called handsome, and it's what I said a second ago. Initially, it feels damn good. But it's one of those things that's like, what? Handsome? What the hell am I, 5 years old? What are you, my grandma? I didn't like it. I don't like it. It means it was the ultimate friend zone, I realized. I was like, damn. So being called handsome, I think, is the ultimate friend zone, like, I guess you can call it friend zone compliment. It's like, what, again, are you my grandma? Are you my mom? Are you putting on a bow tie, getting me ready for church for the first time? And it's just like, look at my handsome boy. Are you the lunch lady who's, like, I'm a little fat kid and just like, I wore something a little out of the ordinary and said, like, well, aren't you looking handsome, mister? Or the lady at work, the older lady is like everyone's mom and just like, oh, look at Vic. Got dressed up a little bit. He's so handsome. It was funny because I was like, yeah, handsome. And I was like, yeah. So ladies, if you want to friend zone somebody, or let's say you have a guy in your life who is into you. And guys, we make it pretty clear, I think, right? Well, for the most part, that's arguable. But it's funny that if you want to make it clear with somebody, ladies, if you want to make it clear with a guy that he has no chance to be serious at all or even a hookup or anything, call him handsome. It's the worst thing because initially, again, it's one of those like let him down easy situations. It's like, oh yeah, she's giving me a compliment. Oh yeah, you hear that, boys? She's calling me handsome. And then a couple weeks later, I found myself, I was like, well, what the hell does she mean handsome? Does she mean like I'm a good boy? Does she mean like, oh yeah, I'm just a little child? Like, you're going to pet my head and call me handsome and tell me that I'm doing a great job? Is my homework done well too? I don't know. Handsome is a wild, wild compliment. But so that was the whole thing that got me started on this whole thing. It's the most like, I don't want to be anything other than like a good friend, or, I want to make it clear that you are inferior to me and I can call you handsome, but it's a nice way of saying it. It's a nice way to do it. It's a compliment, but it's also a backhanded friend zone. Like, look at you. Aren't you so handsome? Which brings me to my next point. So for handsome for a guy is like, because let's be real, fellas. If you're listening right now, I know there's guys on here who've been hit on by girls, maybe the same way that the girls aren't interested in the guys who were calling them, and you call them a friend zone, so you let them know. But what is the equivalent of handsome to girls, right? So what's the nice way of like letting them down easy for girls? Because if I say like, oh, you're beautiful, come on. We both know I'm trying to get in there. Like, hey, I just wanted to let you know you're beautiful. I just wanted to let you know. Like it's a very respectful way of guys saying like, yeah, well, I wasn't being a pervert. I didn't call her sexy. But you know that the end result is still kind of, I know what you're shooting for, pal. If I call you gorgeous, okay, pervert. Hey, let me tell you something, baby. Yeah, you're gorgeous. No, it ain't gorgeous. It ain't beautiful. It's got to be like something subtle. And I don't know the word. So normally I come on here and I'm like, and I figured it out. I don't know. So I need audience participation. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on wherever you're listening, what is the male, like what can guys tell a girl that is a compliment, but it's also friend zone as far as their looks? Like, I think handsome is definitely for calling guys handsome. I can't call a girl handsome. For some reason, to me, it feels masculine. But what is the equivalent of, girl calls you handsome, fellas, you're in the friend zone. It's over. You have no shot. Can I call her, hey, you're pretty? That feels a little, pretty? No, you're just very pretty. It just sounds like a little kid who's got no experience, who's like, well, I don't know. Can I tell you you're pretty? I don't know. But it was a weird situation. I was like, yeah, handsome. And then here I am 3 weeks, whatever later. And I'm just like, oh, well, what did she mean by that? And you know what it was? It's a very nice way of saying, you got no chance, buddy. You got no shot. Keep it moving. So there you go, ladies. It's a little bit of advice. You want to let a guy down easy. You want to let him know, hey, you got no chance, but I'm going to say it in the nice way. Call him handsome. The same way his grandma, and do it in the condescending way, like, well, aren't you handsome young man? Oh, handsome young man. Come on. Hey, we're the same age, sweetheart. We're 30 years old. Come on. Got me wondering. You would think it's a good thing. You'd be like, yeah, that's sweet, man. Just gave me a compliment. Nah, that's not a compliment, ladies and gentlemen. That's how I'm going to let you down easy. I want to talk about this because today is, and we do this every year. I think hamburgers are probably one of my favorite foods. I think it's a very special food. You're like, Vic, what do you mean? Hamburgers are basic. I know. It's always at the top of my list for when people are like, hey, what's your favorite food or whatever? It's just like, well, I like pastas. I like hamburgers. I like Taco Bell. I like, all these things. But hamburgers are always at the top of the list, and they always have been. And it's always one of those, and we talked about this on the podcast before, where it's like, hey, roadies are fantastic. You get off of work, you want to have something real quick, you want to devour and get rid of the evidence before you get home, have yourself a roadie. Hamburger's perfect for that. Why is a hamburger perfect? Let me explain. I'm glad you asked. You're probably driving around right now. Maybe you're eating one right now. I salute you. But a hamburger is just perfect. You got your bun, you got your carbs, you got your bread, you got your, he's going to keep your energy. You're going to, Then you got your protein. I don't know, quarter pounder, whatever. No matter if it's real meat or not, raccoon ankles, whatever. But you got your protein, you got your carbs. And then you know what? Let's be healthy. Let's put some veggies on this thing. Let's put a little bit of lettuce. What do you say? A little bit of pickles, a little bit of onion, a little bit of tomato. I'll eat it with all that stuff, but I prefer it without tomato. It just gets more to the point of the good stuff that I like. But I'm not going to be the person who comes on and tells you like, hey, you should not be eating a hamburger without tomato. I mean, I don't do it, but hey, as long as you're eating hamburgers, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, man. Enjoy it. But I just think it's perfect. It's a perfect food. It's a good little roadie. It's like, hey, it's not going to overfill you. Where you start to get in a little bit of trouble is when you start to dive into the fries situation. You ever seen that thing where it's like you can eat 2 fries and actually like lose weight? Or I'm sorry, you can actually eat 2 hamburgers without the fries and it'll be like less calories or less fat or I don't know, something like that. But it turns out the fries are really the more unhealthy thing because you think about a hamburger, it's really quite simple. It's, you got your carbs, you got your protein, you got your veggies, and it's perfect. So happy National Hamburger Day. I was going to try to get into In-N-Out because that's the best burger. Like we're not going to sit here and argue and like, hey, what's the best one? We're not. In-N-Out's the best one. There's going to be the few weirdos who are going to be like, actually, it's not, and In-N-Out is disgusting. It's like, shut the fuck up. But In-N-Out's the best, and I think the majority of rational people are going to agree. But here's another thing that I was thinking about, because people were like, oh, there's everywhere you saw today. It's like, oh, fast food, what's the best hamburger? What's this? And I think that, and everywhere that I saw, by the way, they said In-N-Out was like number one. And then I'm talking about like locally because we don't have like Whataburger. I don't even think we have a Shake Shack here. So, a few of these are kind of disqualified simply because of the fact that we don't have them in Bakersfield. But In-N-Out took the cake in a lot of places. But I was thinking about like, oh, it feels wrong to put In-N-Out in the same category as like a McDonald's or a Big Mac or a Whopper. It's like, can we put a little bit of respect on the double double? Can we put it? It's fast food. I get it. I'm not arguing that, but it also isn't kind of fast food. I mean, you go to McDonald's, you're gonna wait your 7-8 minutes for your little Big Mac. You're going to go through the drive-through at Burger King and get your little Whopper, and it's going to be 7-8 minutes. Great. In-N-Out's not that fast. I understand. It has a drive-through, whatever. How you want to define a fast food joint. But I will say, here's kind of the way I look at it. Like, it passes my would I take you on a first date here test, right? And this is the test. Like, if I was going on a first date and I took a girl to McDonald's, I'd probably never get a second date. I'd never get a second date. I'd be laughed at. I'd be like, yeah, Vic was taking me to the freaking dollar menu. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. Now, if I take a girl to In-N-Out for a first date, it's fun. It's a summer night. It's got a good vibe. We have one here at Stockdale in Bakersfield. It's the Stockdale one. You know, if you're from Bakersfield, you know what I'm talking about. It's got like stadium lighting. Folks, this thing has got the best. It's got better lighting than high school football stadiums. I mean, you go to the parking lot and you can hang out in the back of your truck. You can get it. You can eat it. You're going to be with your friends. You're going to see all these summer vibes. They do an incredible job of creating a great vibe at In-N-Out to where it feels like, is this fast food? Is it not? I don't know. So I think while I won't disagree that it's fast food, I feel like we should put a little bit more respect on In-N-Out. As far as being like you're not going to blend it in with McDonald's or Jack in the Box or freaking Burger King or Wendy's. In-N-Out, let's put it a little bit above that. Just something to think about on National Hamburger Day. I hope you guys celebrated. There's a lot of places and a lot of apps that were giving deals. I will say the Famous Star is absolutely fantastic. Just throwing that out there. Famous Star from Carl's Jr. Great burger. Elite burger. It doesn't get talked about enough. But let's get into your fun facts here in case you didn't know. This is, again, I feel like I'm explaining things for the people who are new. I know we met a lot of people. So I hope you guys are listening for the first time and not the only time. So these are your fun facts here in case you didn't know. And this actually came from my background in country radio. There was a song called "In Case You Didn't Know" by Brett Young, still one of my favorite songs from him. And we just took the clip and it was like, "In case you didn't know," which we're still working on, by the way. We're getting closer. I know we are. It's going to happen, but I'm done giving deadlines and timelines of when it's going to happen. But so we gave you the fun facts, and then in between each one, in case you didn't know. So let's get into it. In case you didn't know, for optimum health. Oh, wait. This is the old episode. Sorry, I forgot to turn the page on this one. In case you didn't know, and this is important because it's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Listen to this. In case you didn't know, the human mouth contains more bacteria than a toilet seat. In case you didn't know. This one was crazy. And I actually think we should implement this for a lot of things now in 2025. In case you didn't know, in the ancient Persian Empire, ideas would be debated both sober and drunk. For it to pass, it would have to sound good in both states. So it's like, I have an idea, fellas. All right, well, let's talk about it. Okay, that sounds good. You like that? Yeah, okay. Bring in the alcohol. Let's get drunk and let's talk about the same idea. If it still sounds like a great idea, whatever the idea was, it gets a pass. I think we should do that more often with a lot of things. I think politics should be like this. I think podcast ideas should be like this. Can you imagine? It's just like, well, that was a good idea when we were drunk. Or when we were sober, that was a good idea. But when we were drunk, it's like, nah, that's not fun. That doesn't sound good. I actually love that. I absolutely love that one. And finally tonight, in case you didn't know, This one's fun because you can do it in the car as you're listening or working out or whatever you're doing. No word in the English dictionary rhymes with month. Month. Think about that. Month. I was like monk. Man, it's K, not TH. But those are your fun facts, in case you didn't know. Welcoming all the people, having great conversations. It's a great time to be a teacher, school teacher. A couple weeks ago, we talked about it was National Teacher Day, and it was also like simultaneously, it was National Teacher Week. And it was so strange that it just coincided with like National Nurses Week. And I feel like those could be like totally separated, right? Those are two professions that could be individually celebrated. Like this week, what is it? There was no national blank week other than today, like Hamburger Day, but that's not a career. We're just celebrating the greatest food ever. But I think it could have been like, hey, maybe Teachers Week would be great because, you're coming up to the end of the school year, which, by the way, teachers right now, this is when I know the entire year is kind of a lot of work, a lot of hassle, a lot of underappreciation, but let's be honest. These last few weeks of school are just the best. I mean, you're talking about you're rolling in that TV and you're just watching The Emperor's New Groove, or you're watching Lilo and Stitch, or you're watching Inside Out with the damn kids, and you're just like, hey, just keep it quiet for an hour or 45 minutes, however long I got you. This has got to be the greatest time to be a teacher. You're staring down the barrel of, I don't know, what is it, a month and a half, 2 months of summer vacation, unless you're doing summer school. But you're staring down the barrel of 2 months of vacation. The weeks leading up to it are, we're just eating popcorn, watching movies, and just having fun. It's mindless work. Oh man, it makes the entire year absolutely worth it. Teachers gotta be living right now. Maybe it was the last day. I saw some places that the school's already out, but yeah, I've seen you guys on Instagram. I've seen you guys on TikTok the last couple weeks. It's movie after movie. And I wanted to talk about this real quick. And I don't always give advice. I give more of just like suggestions. Think about this kind of thing. And if you are a mom and you have a kid who's graduating, or if you are a kid who's graduating, whether it's college, high school, whatever, and I know this is unsolicited advice, and you're not going to listen to me because you are at the age where you don't listen to people. And I think, and if I'm being frank, I didn't listen either. And I didn't want to listen, and I'd be like, your experience isn't going to be mine. And that's super valid. Here's the only thing I will say. And this is not me trying to get you to do anything. It's just more of like, hey, you're good. So one, if you're exiting high school or if you're exiting college or whatever, this is for the big kids, not the kids who are still going to be going to high school or whatever. This is definitely not for the damn kids who are graduating kindergarten and they're cap and gown. What the You've got a long journey to first grade, but have no fear. There will be more naps. This is for the high school and college kids. If you know what you want to do, pursue it. Don't waste any time. Go right after it. You got accepted into that school. You already are enrolled. You already know. Yeah, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the kids who are like, I know what I want to do, whether that's school or let's say you want to get right into, I don't know, military, or you want to get into a specific trade. Then maybe your family came up in a trade and it's just like, you know what? Like school wasn't my thing. I knew what I wanted to do. Just get right into it. Or if it is school, but you know you want to go to school, but you don't have it figured out. You're like, well, I want to do communications. Well, I want to do liberal studies. Or I want to do psychology. Or I want to go into the nurses program. Or I want to do whatever it is. Like, if you've got it figured out and you know, go. Don't waste time. Go. Just attack it. You'll thank yourself later. However, this is more so for the people who don't have it figured out, who are bouncing around ideas. Do I want to teach? Do I want to be a firefighter? Do I want to be this? Do I want to be that? And again, you're not going to listen to me. You're not like, this is going to go in one ear and out the other. But if there's anything that I could hopefully somewhere down the road be in the back of your head, be a little voice that you heard somewhere on a podcast in the car, or maybe your mom just repeated this for you. Like, you have time, and I know it's going to be stressful, and I know you're not going to listen to me, and I'm going to tell you, and you're going to get anxiety, you're going to get worked up, you're going to get anxious, you're going to get depressed, you're going to be feeling like you're falling behind, you're feeling like whatever you're doing is the wrong thing. You're like, oh, I don't know, everybody's got it figured out. Let me tell you something right now. Ain't nobody got it super all figured out. And a lot of people are a lot more like you than the opposite. There's a lot more people who are uncertain, who, yeah, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I'm good at. You're going to figure it out. And maybe this anxiety, again, when I was leaving, like, I was lucky enough to know kind of what I wanted to do. I've always said this, like, I knew I was born to entertain. I just can't sing and dance. So I was like, okay, well, radio kind of gave me that opportunity. And I came from a background in radio and all that stuff. So I consider myself lucky, but I understand that. I would say, like, 80? I could be way off. I feel like 80% of people don't have it exactly figured out what they want to do. It's that 20% that are very lucky. Like, I want to be a doctor because my parents are doctors, or a lawyer, or, and nowadays there's just way more opportunities to do things. You want to create content. I mean, look, if you have the resources, if you have the personality, if you have the understanding of what it's going to take to kind of go in and understand failure and all this is why it was great meeting all the people at the Content Creator Mixer. It was just like the one theme that everybody talked about was like, yeah, you got to be okay with, like, you got to have thick skin because you're going to lose and you're going to fail and it's not going to be good. It's not going to feel good. It's not always going to be great. But I guess the bottom line in all this, if you don't have it all figured out, you will. Somewhere down the road, you will. And I'm not going to tell you it's going to happen in 6 months. And I'm not going to tell you it's going to happen in 6 years or 10 years. Because there's a lot of people that I know that I'm still friends with. They're like, yeah, I just kind of stumbled into this, or I want to make a career change. You're going to decide something. You may go into it. You might take a few classes and you're not going to like it. Change. Don't be afraid of change. We get so caught up here in Bakersfield of like, well, you gotta stick with it. You gotta be a mom and you have to have your house and you have to this by 23, 24, 25. You gotta have this figured out. It's just like, no, you don't. And again, you're not going to listen to me. You're still going to have your sleepless nights, your anxiety. But I hope that in between all that, somewhere in one of those nights, you remember that you've got time and it's okay. So again, unsolicited advice, but I was thinking about that because I remember kind of dreading, like, you graduate, you almost don't want to graduate. You're like, damn, now I got to make a real decision. Now I got to make a real choice about what's going to happen. And it's just like, take your time with it. Give yourself a little bit of grace. So these are just a couple nuggets that I thought were worth mentioning. I saw this and I thought it was fantastic. It was, those of you who are in relationships, you ever think about like the word, like, for example, just say, I love you, right? I do feel like over time, especially if you say it every time you hang up the phone, you're like, all right, honey, I'm going to go pick up the kids. I'm grabbing In-N-Out for dinner. Okay. All right. Well, give me the double. All right, honey, I'll see you soon. Love you. I do feel like, not that it loses its meaning, but it loses its punch, its effectiveness, right? And that's not even like a bad thing. It's just like, oh, we just acknowledge each other. You say something enough, it's going to like, remember the first time you said, oh my God, they said, I love you. I love you. They said it for the first time. Oh my gosh. Are they going to say it back? I don't know. But you took that chance and it was nerve wracking. But over time, it's like, yeah, I know, I'm expecting it and it just doesn't hit the same. Well, it turns out that there's something even more powerful in a relationship that really does. And it triggers more emotion and more, you feel more valued. And I think some of you guys can guess what this is. If you follow us on socials, you'll know because we reposted it. But it turns out that the word thank you is more powerful in a relationship than I love you. And it makes so much sense because there's no, I love you somewhat becomes expected. It somewhat becomes and I hate to say that, I'm gonna get pushback on this, but people are like, oh, it's good. It loses its meaning when it's said so much. Not that you feel it any less, but it's just like you just saying anything enough times, you know, like, okay, it doesn't hit the same. But when you say thank you, it's like, okay, it shows a little bit of appreciation. It shows a little bit, you're expected to be loved, but to be thanked, it shows like, man, they appreciated that I made dinner, that I picked up dinner, that I cleaned, that I set up a special date night. So thank you turns out to be more popular or more positive as far as having an effect than I love you. So just a little something. I wish it wasn't the case. I love you, say it back is the name of the podcast. And I was like, yeah, this one trumps all. Just force him to say I love you back. This is one of these topics that like you read and you're like, hell yeah, finally, that's great. That's fantastic news. And then you're like, wait, hold up. Why? Hold on. So I saw this and it said the Skittles is announced that they are going to be removing titanium dioxide from all of its U.S. products. Their Skittles is removing titanium dioxide. And you're like, hell yeah. And then you're like, wait, what the hell? Why was that in there to begin with? It's like, imagine if Red Bull came out and they were like, we are going to be removing all urine from our products. It'd be like, hell yeah, they're taking the piss out of it. That's great. And then you're like, wait, bro, why was there piss in there to begin with? This isn't cool. So it's one of those things that gets you wondering. You're like, Skittles, we're the good guys. We're going to be taking titanium dioxide from all our products. How about that? We're the good guys. And it's just like, yeah, well, why were you putting it in there to begin with, sweetheart? I actually don't like that. As I just had a bag of sour Skittles. I know people think I'm disgusting. I love, that's my one guilty, few. But as far as, I'm not big on candy. I'm not like a big candy guy. But I tell you what, a good bag of sour Skittles will do the trick every single time. You having a bad day? Bag of Skittles. You get anxious before you do some content? Bag of Skittles. I had a bag of Skittles right before as I was prepping this for an hour. Killed me a little bag of Skittles. All right, let's get to our Wednesday wisdom conversation. And boy, so by the time that you are listening to this, you may have already seen, because we post the picture up pretty early. It's usually the first thing that we post from the podcast. But our Wednesday wisdom conversation is wild. And I'll be frank with you, I hate answering this question. I hate it. For a number of reasons. Pardon me, I got the hiccups. Talking about Skittles got me all, because I feel like it's valid from both sides. So this is our Wednesday wisdom conversation. Here we go. Listen to this. Vic D, hi, question. And she got right to the point. I appreciate this. How do you tell your parents / in-laws / friends absolutely no kissing the baby on the mouth without starting a fight or creating resentment? They love him. Of course, it comes from a loving place, but I feel so strongly about this. The world is nasty and scary, and you just never know. I know I'm not the only one who makes this decision, but what advice or what would people say is the best way to go about it? Should I just put my foot down and say no? Or should I be nice about it? Will they listen? What if they don't? I have so many questions. It's my first. So yeah, thanks. So I think this has become a very popular thing, and I'm all for it. I think kissing babies on the mouth is if I ever have a kid myself, I'll be implementing the same thing. That's why I said earlier today, I was like, when we were doing the fun facts, I was like, the human mouth has more bacteria than a toilet seat. Right? It's one of those, like, keep in mind. And also there was like some recent research here in Bakersfield. It was like something about like HIV numbers are like going up, but we'll get to that in a second. But the point that we're getting to is like, I'm all for like telling people, communicating to them, hey, I'm the parent. I don't want anybody mouth on my baby's mouth, or sometimes even cheeks or whatever it is. Like I kiss on the cheek, I don't really, forehead, whatever. But the point of this whole thing is like, how do you go about communicating, hey, no kissing the baby, when you know that the people who are doing it because they love your kid? They're not doing it, it's very easy when someone's doing something malicious. A kid at the playground who's bullying your kid. A kid somewhere when someone's doing something malicious, it's very easy to be like, put your foot down. I said, no, you're not going to do that to my kid. Absolutely not. We'll see you later, blah, blah, blah. But how do you handle it when the people who are doing the thing that you don't want them to do is your family, and they're doing it from a place of love? They're expressing their love. They're like, oh my gosh, everybody sees a baby. You're like, oh my God, I want to kiss the baby, those little chubby cheeks. I understand it. So I see both sides. And this is not an argument to say, don't tell people to not kiss your baby. Because again, I would implement it with my own child. But I think how you go about it, how you communicate it is so important. It's literally everything. Because the message is not, hey, don't do that, or no. The choice has been made. You don't want people kissing your babies in the mouth. And I agree. We're together there. But I also see a lot of people going about it in the most rude fashion, and that bothers me. Right? I've had several conversations with people who are like, I'm the mom. I make the rules. I don't want you kissing my baby. And that is going to be it because that's what I want. And then I'm like, okay, I understand. We're saying the same thing, but it's also how you're communicating it. At some point, you're going to need your family. Hey, can you babysit? So why would I be like rude and be like, don't touch my baby, don't kiss my baby, don't do this and that in a rude way? Why would you be rude? Instead of sitting down, here's what I would say. I think there's a lot of now, it's becoming a little bit more normal. This used to, imagine the people a few years ago, or, even way further back when, who were just like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with people kissing my baby. Like, that's when it was really difficult. I feel like it's becoming a little bit easier because this has been a trend that has been like, oh, you know what? A lot of people understand that we're not kissing babies in the mouth. And it's become a little bit more accepted. So communicating could be a little bit easier nowadays. But I think about this, right? You guys love going online and talking about like, don't be rude to waiters. Don't be rude to people. You should always treat people with respect. But in this case, I see a lot of people deciding to just be like, I'm going to be rude about it because it's my kid. That's what I want. And the only situation that I feel like that would be appropriate is if you communicated these thoughts, these feelings, and they weren't respected, right? My approach would be, I'm going to sit my mom down. I'm going to sit my dad down. I'm going to sit my friends or whoever the hell I got to sit down and be like, hey, you know what? Like me and blank decided that we don't really feel really comfortable. Like, you understand how easy it is for things for transmission to happen. Babies' immune system really aren't quite developed. We want to be on the protective side. So we'd appreciate if you respect it and, just, hey, kiss on the forehead, whatever. And I think a lot of people would be respectful of that. I think you'd be surprised at how easy it would be to have that conversation. Now, if somebody wants to disrespect it and be like, yeah, sure, great, and then boom, I'm going to kiss the baby, then I could understand you. You're like, hey, didn't I ask you? I said no, please, thank you. But I understand you being rude after that. But I think the initial communication has to be respectful, because you got to understand that your parents or your family members, they're doing it out of love. And to me, that hurts. To be like, why would I be rude? I don't want to be rude. Y'all don't want to be rude to waiters and to these people and to strangers, but you have no problem being rude in this situation. I don't think you should initiate the conversation with being rude. I think you should be clear, you should be firm, and you should be willing to answer questions and explain and be like, hey, This is why. And it's actually very easy to explain. It's not something that's like, hey, I'm going to lay out this PowerPoint presentation and explain why, babies can be infected or the diseases that are passed from mouth to mouth. I don't think it's a hard concept to grasp. But I do think it's only difficult because families and feelings and so many things are involved. And when you get all that mixed up, you got to understand if somebody, this goes back to what I said earlier, if somebody's being malicious, you understand, don't do that. I don't want you doing that. That's my baby, blah, blah, blah. Easy. Be rude there. But when someone's doing it out of love and it's just like, man, I love my grandkid and this is going to be there first. I mean, unless you had brothers and sisters who already had one, but if this is their first grandkid, what do you expect? You want them to imagine this. Imagine they grabbed your baby and they were like, ooh, here you go. It's like, oh, you don't love my baby? So I think communicating, because you know that it comes from a place of love, I think communicating and just showing like, hey, I love you and I love that you love my child. But here's where we stand as a couple. That's another part. You and your partner have got to be in lockstep on this. You and your partner cannot be like, I feel strongly about this. He doesn't care. I feel strongly about this. She doesn't care. You guys have to communicate that together. Be a couple. Be like, I feel this. She feels this. Because you're going to have to go talk to your parents and you're going to have to go talk to your in-laws. And you've got to be in lockstep. You got to be like, yeah, he feels this way. I feel this way. She feels this way. I feel this way. So the communication has got to be strong in the family, between the two parents, between the two of you, before you even go communicate that with anybody else. And I think you're clear, you're stern, you're firm, and you're understanding that, hey, like, I know this is kind of weird and I know, and I think but there's no need to be rude about it the first time. And I think I've seen a lot of parents like almost taking pride in the fact that they were like, I don't owe you an explanation. This is what I want. I'm the mom. Respect it. Yo, okay. Then I'd be like, man, take your ugly ass kid because he ugly anyways. Take that ugly ass little, I don't want, man. Parents being rude when you're trying to show love is like the worst. It is the worst. Now, I understand you being rude if it's not respected, but I think you'd be surprised once you communicate and you're effective with that. I think it's a pretty easy conversation to have. So that is your Wednesday wisdom. I'm curious to see what parents have to say. Although I've seen enough TikToks on this, I've seen enough videos and conversations, Reddit boards and all that stuff to where it's like, this isn't a novel concept anymore. I think it's more so just it's still a nerve-wracking conversation to have, especially if you have like older parents who didn't grow up like, older parents are like less sensitive about this. Grow up, immune system, this, that, like all that. They don't take that into account. They don't initially go there, but I think it's a fair conversation to have, and I'm fully on board. Fully on board. I just think the way you communicate it, be nice, because they're coming from a loving place more so than anything. Let's wrap up with a little trivia. Last week, got some good feedback on that, so we'll clip this for sure. So here we go, little late night trivia to get your noggins jogging. Listen to this, ladies. 22% of women say that this. Let me start over. Listen to this, ladies. 22% of women say that if a man has this as a hobby, it is a deal breaker. 22% of women say that if a man has this as a hobby or has this hobby, it's a deal breaker. What is it? You know by now. Pause it. Think about it, because I got your answer right here. Collecting action figures. Collecting action figures. I wonder if like Legos and all that stuff is included in all that. Because Legos is pretty dope. You build those things. I understand it. But if you're still collecting freaking The Rock and John Cena, hey, you got to get out of here, pal. 22% of women say that if a man has this hobby, it's a deal breaker. Collecting action figures. Grow up, fellas. Just kidding. That's going to wrap it up for our first episode. Thank you so much. I remind you once again, please like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. We already hit over 100 subscribers. We're getting more views than we do have subscribers, which feels kind of cool. Maybe getting a little bit of traction there. Who knows where that ends up. But yeah, check us out on there. Subscribe on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you're listening to the podcast, audio-wise. We get listeners from everywhere, like Germany, Australia, anywhere in the world you could think of. That's a cool thing about having a podcast. On socials, at ILY Say It Back Pod. I'm at Vic Radio. Y'all have a great night. Sleep good. Que soy con los angelitos. I love you. Say it back. See ya. Catch you on the next one.